everyone, my name is Sarah and this is my channel So Sarah Sewed. In today's video I'm going to be sharing everything I made in November and December. Now these months were very much sort of gift focused for me. I made a few things for members of my family, so most of the items I made were not for me and I don't actually have them physically to show you, but I do have pictures of everything, so hopefully you'll enjoy. As always, in today's video, I have included chapters. If you click on the description box, you will see all the different items I have made, and you can click through to any that interest you if you are looking for a particular pattern. So the first thing I decided to make was actually for me. It was kind of a practice run for a gift that I wanted to make for my mum and my sister as well for Christmas, and it was an oversized shirt. Really, I had the idea that this would be very handy to be able to wear to the beach, to cover up bathers and be just cool and relaxed, but also very comfortable and stylish at the same time. So the pattern I decided to use was the OceanDaze Very Oversized Shirt by Emporium. This is the first time I'd ever actually used a Emporium pattern, and I was really impressed with it. The details were extremely detailed. There were extra videos for some of the steps. It was just really clear, and I'm really pleased with how the shirts all came out. So as I said, the first one I made was for me. I bought some white linen from My Design, and I went with the regular length, the stand-up collar, and the long sleeves with the cuff for mine. So this pattern has a lot of different views as options. There is, I believe there's just a plain collar that doesn't have a stand. There is a short sleeve, the long sleeve that I did, and two lengths as well. And also two views at the bottom, so you can do a curved hemline or a straight hemline. So I did the curved hemline. Now I've worn this to the beach several times in the last couple of weeks, and it hasn't really been washed. It's been sort of thrown on the line and then got off and worn the next day. So it actually smells like the ocean at the moment, and there's probably a couple of marks on it. But as you can see, it's just a plain white shirt. Now, as my sister and my mum and I are all slightly different sizes, I decided to go with this pattern because, you know, in its very description, it is a very oversized shirt. So I thought, even if for one of us it ends up being quite oversized, that is kind of the intention of the pattern anyway. So I thought it would work for all of us. Probably the thing I'm most proud of in this make is the collar. So all of the collars that I made, I think turned out really nicely. And it's because of the instructions. They were so clear and easy to understand. So it's only the second pattern that I've ever done that has a stand-up collar. And yeah, I went into it with a little bit of nerves, but yeah, I really came out feeling really good about it in the end. It also has a button placket and buttons all the way down as well. Probably the trickiest thing in this pattern for me were the cuffs. It was the first time I'd ever done them before. There were a couple of options how to attach binding around the cuff, the slit opening, and I went with the one that was simple, the simpler method for all of my versions, but I still found it a little bit challenging. I had to really take my time in where the curve happened, the turning the corner, so I didn't get a gap. And actually in one of them, I think there is a bit of a gap, so I didn't feel that great about that one, but hopefully it sort of holds up okay anyway. So there's my cuff. If I unbutton it, you can see the little bound seam there. So I was really happy with that. I generally have been wearing these with the buttons undone and rolled up. And this is where another one of my slight issues with the project occurs. I don't have an overlocker. I've never had one, and it's usually not a problem. It's not something that really bothers me. But when you've got something like this where you've got your cuffs that you are rolling up, you end up being able to see this seam. My seams are all finished with a zigzag stitch, and it's okay at the moment. I don't think it's something that anyone would really notice unless they were really looking for it, but I'm a little concerned that with a little bit of washing and a bit more wear that these will fray a little bit. So I would have preferred to have given a gift that had all really nicely finished seams, but in my circumstances, that was really the best I could do. I think from memory, the seam allowance was just a bit too small for me to be able to try and do French seams. I think it might have been a 3/8 or 1 centimeter seam allowance. So I didn't want to try and do any French seams on it, but yeah, it should be okay. So as I said, I have been wearing this a lot at the beach. I don't have a whole lot of photos, but I'll put some in anyway so you can see the length of the shirt. It is quite oversized, as the pattern says. I also made one, as I mentioned, for my sister and one for my mum. So for my sister's version of the same pattern, I made all the same choices. Hers is exactly the same as mine. The fabric I used for hers was quite a bit thinner, so actually that made that cuff a little trickier in itself. It was some kind of cotton blend that I bought from Draper's Fabrics, but I can't remember exactly what it was blended with. It was maybe a cotton tencel. It's really lovely to touch. I do have a small regret with that particular shirt. I looked at my sister wearing this a couple of days ago and I said to her, oh, you've got some buttons undone. And actually, they weren't undone at all, but I had selected completely transparent buttons for this shirt. And I hadn't realized that when they're done up, of course, you can see right through to the buttonholes. So these buttonholes looked like they had nothing on them, or they weren't done up. So I'd probably avoid using completely transparent buttons for shirts in future, unless it's on a very busy pattern, I suppose, that you wouldn't notice. She actually said the same thing, that she had looked at her own reflection and thought that she had some buttons not done up properly as well. So it is something that is noticeable from not just the wearer, but other people looking at it. So I will offer to replace them if she would like me to. I'm very happy to do that. But she seemed happy with her present and I was pleased to see her wearing it. She has a new baby, so this is a really good breastfeeding friendly shirt for her as well. Now for my mum's version, I used a linen as well, again from My Design, and I used a beautiful blue fabric that I thought would suit my mum really nicely. The difference with my mum's one was the length. I decided to go with the dress length for her, thinking that this could be a really nice summer dress option. Mum did a really lovely job for me modeling this at the beach, and you can see the sorts of different ways that this could be worn. It could be worn over other clothes, kind of in a jacket kind of style, by itself over a bathers. What I had been hoping was that this could be worn just as a dress, a nice casual dress that you could wear out. However, I think that the fact that the hem is curved, it just comes up too high. It's perfectly fine for the beach. Nothing wrong with the way it is for wearing it to the beach, but I don't think this is, I wouldn't feel comfortable wearing such a high hemline if I wasn't at the beach. So if I was going to make the dress version again, I would go with the straight hemline to make it a more sort of modest hemline, I suppose, and a little bit more wearable in more situations than just at the beach. But yeah, hopefully she'll get a whole lot of wear out of it, and she seems to like hers as well. So yes, the Pattern Emporium Ocean Daze very oversized shirt. I would recommend it, and I think I will end up making another Pattern Emporium pattern at some point because, as I said, I was very impressed with the instructions on this one. The next gift I made was for my baby niece, who I mentioned just before. She is now 3 months old, and I made her a little button-up cardigan. It's a cardigan I have made before. It's by TadahPatterns. It's from their Baby Basics range, and it's called the Papa cardigan, I believe. It's a really, really sweet little pattern. There are a couple of options for this one. So the one I made has a ribbing that goes all the way around the neckband, down the and then button plackets and the hem, as well as that same ribbing on the cuffs. So you can choose to not have a hemband and you can choose not to have the cuffs. But I really love that contrast the ribbing gives. The fabric I used was a remnant of some French terry that I bought back in 2021. I actually made my sister, the same sister as before, a Billy sweater from this jumper a couple of years ago, and her other daughter a matching little jumper. And now I've made her new daughter a little cardigan. So my niece who has the jumper won't fit into that original jumper anymore, but hopefully my sister and her new baby can do a little bit of mummy and me matching with her Billy sweater and the baby's little cardigan, if the weather is cool enough for them both to wear it before my niece grows out of it, because it has been quite muggy and warm here. The instructions from TadahPatterns are excellent. Everything's really easy to follow. The ribbing that I used is from My Design, and I've made other buttonholes on ribbings before, but this ribbing is such good quality. They came out so well. I was really, really happy with them. And then I had some really sweet buttons that I'd bought from Kylie and the Machine a couple of years ago that I thought worked really nicely with this cardigan too. It was really nice to make a present for my niece that used remnants, and actually I don't think I had to buy anything for this pattern. I already had the pattern. It's a pattern that I used to make her another cardigan before she was born as a little gift for her mum. So yeah, it was nice to use the pattern again, and also to use a remnant of a fabric that I really loved. And the last gift that I made was a really simple project, and it's a free project from DIY Daisy. It is her door stopper, which she calls the DIY door lump. I went through my remnants and found a cotton linen and also a corduroy fabric that I thought worked really well together. And then this pattern, it's designed not only to use your remnants on the outside, but you can also fill it with remnants. So it's a really great scrap buster. To make it a bit heavier though, I also filled it. I got a few little bags of rice and put those inside as well, just to make it nice and heavy and to actually keep a door open. The recipient seemed to really like it. So again, that was a really successful present. I would love to make more of these. I actually did have it on my list that I was going to make one for everyone in the family, but I just ran out of time. I've been staying with my parents at their beach house over the last couple of weeks, and I was talking to my mum about the notes app that I use all the time on my phone, and she said, oh, I'm going to have a look. And she said, oh yeah, I've used it before as well. And she said, I've only got one thing on it from a couple of years ago on a shopping list, and that was to get a doorstop, and she never had. And so she'll have to definitely be the next person I make one of these for. If you've been following me for a little while, you will probably know that I'm a big fan of Dupes Designs. They make their own clothing range, but they also sell fabric in the most amazing prints. They're just so unique, and I absolutely love them. They had a new fabric range come out at the end of last year, but everything was sold on pre-order. So I think I ordered a couple of things back in August. I bought 2 jersey fabrics with the intention to make some turtleneck tops to wear under pinafores to work, because that is a really staple outfit for me in my work wardrobe. I haven't actually made them yet, because by the time they came, it was November and things were warming up, and I wasn't really wanting to be making any sort of warmer tops anymore. So that will be something that happens next year. But I did notice an Instagram story or post from Dupes Designs that showed one of their fabrics. It was like a patchwork fabric, and I commented saying, I regret not buying it. I really wished that I had. And they replied and said, actually, we've got some leftovers. We'll be releasing the leftovers next week, so watch out for those. And so I think I might have even put an alarm in my phone, because I really wanted some of that fabric. I think the substrate that I got was a linen cotton blend, and I absolutely love it. I got 3 meters of it, and I decided to make a tiered skirt. I've actually never made a tiered skirt before, but I really liked the idea of pairing this sort of patchwork fabric with a kind of bohemian style skirt. So I will show you. So here you can see the fabric. It is just so much fun. There are so many beautiful colors in there, and designs from Dupes Designs. And then I thought it would work really nicely as a tiered skirt. So the pattern I used is one that I've had for a while. I bought it over a year ago, but hadn't used it before. It's the Protea pattern by Nielsen Patterns. The Protea has a number of pieces in it that you can mix and match. There is a square neck top, a round neck top, the skirt, and then dresses. So you can mix and match those different bodices with different skirt lengths, or make a separate skirt. So I haven't made any of the other ones, but I thought I would give the separate skirt a go. So the skirt is 2 tiers, about midi length, probably a little bit longer on me because I am only 160 centimeters tall, and it has 2 pockets as well, and an elasticized waistband. I decided I'd like to wear this for Christmas Day this year, and that's what I did. I think I might have finished it a couple of days before Christmas, maybe even the day before. I can't really remember. But yeah, I wore it on Christmas Day, and I've worn it a couple of times since, and I absolutely love it. In terms of making the pattern, one good thing that I have noticed is that Nielsen has started putting layers into their patterns. Some of the earlier patterns that I bought didn't have layers, but this one did, so that was great. This one's seam allowances were bigger than the shirt, so I actually did finish the side seams with French seams. So anywhere that I could, I tried to make a really neat finish. My tiers are just zigzagged, so where the tiers are attached. So there's just the one seam around the middle where the tiers are joined that has a zigzag seam finish. But then I also, on the pockets, I decided to do something I've never done before, and I actually lined all the way around them with bias binding. So I actually had some that I'd made before for another project. I had some left over. So I thought, why not take my time and actually finish these pockets really nicely? So I'm really happy I did that. It's hard when you're looking at the skirt to know where the front and the back are. So I have put a little label in this one. So that is a label from Kylie and the Machine. Yes, I made it. Just really handy for being able to put it on and not trying to turn the whole thing around to find where the pockets are. This one I actually wore with the t-shirt I'm wearing for Christmas Day, and then for my photos that you're probably looking at the moment as well. But there are so many colors in this skirt that I think it'll be able to be worn with a lot of different things in my wardrobe that I already have, and then things that I add as well. So I'm really, really happy with that make. And yeah, I don't think I'll be making another tiered skirt in a hurry, but I am happy to have one in my wardrobe now. I also wanted to make a Reynolds top to go with this skirt, thinking that it would make a really nice faux dress if I ever wanted to wear them together. So the Reynolds top is a pattern by Helen's Closet. The pattern comes in a top and a dress, a short dress or a long dress. It's not one I'd ever made before, so I made the top. It has a straight neckline, 2 straps, and kind of an A-line kind of shape. I squeezed all the pattern pieces out of what I had left after making the skirt out of this fabric, and I enjoyed making it. I always enjoy Helen's Closet patterns because the instructions are so good. However, I just didn't feel like the shape of this one suited me, so I'll probably end up repurposing this one. I'll put some pictures in if I've kept any, but yeah, it's just something about the shape of this one. It just didn't quite fit. I might have made the wrong size. It felt a bit big. It was quite gapey around the arms. But even when I brought it in a little bit, I still felt, I actually added a couple of darts or pleats at the back because it was so gapey, but I just didn't like the look of it from the front. It just wasn't a neckline that I think really suited me very well. So I think what I'll end up doing with that one at some point is probably cut it up and put it into another project, because I didn't really have very much fabric left, but it would be nice to do something with it because, yeah, it's so pretty. I do have the Matchy Matchy Sewing Club split peplum tank on my Make 9 list for this year, so maybe even I'd be able to cut up the Reynolds top and use it in some way in that top, because I think that could be pretty cool. We'll see. The last thing I finished in December was a very long time in the making. It is a knitting project, and it is the Shawlography, which is designed by Stephen West of West Knits. Now, this was a mystery knit along from 2021. And when I first decided that I was going to take up knitting, so I had learnt as a child in primary school, but I decided in 2021 that I was going to start it again. And one of the things that really inspired me to want to knit again was because I'd seen people getting involved in these mystery knit alongs. My mum was a really enthusiastic participant in many of these mystery knit alongs, and I wanted to join in as well. So I started knitting in April of 2021, and then the mystery knit along started in October. So I'd only been knitting for about 6 months, and I was very excited. I bought my wool from Yarns by the Bay, which is a local independent hand dyer near me, and I loved my colours, very excited to cast on, but I was definitely still in a stage at that point of being quite nervous, not very confident when it came to reading patterns, and I leaned heavily on the videos that are part of the Mystery Knit Along that Stephen puts out. They are awesome. So if you are looking to do a knitted project and you are feeling a little bit intimidated by one of these shawls, the Knit Along videos are excellent. So they're all still available. So you can go back and choose any of these patterns and then so buy the pattern, but then you can access the videos that are just on YouTube. So that's a tip if you are thinking about doing one of the patterns that was in a knit along by Stephen West. Anyway, for me though, I was having to really set aside very, very dedicated knitting time to be able to do any of the steps. So it was taking me a long time. So what some people finished in 1 week took me, I hadn't even finished it in 2 months, and I ended up putting it away for a long time, about 20 months actually. So I knitted it from about October to January of, from October 21 to January 22. And I just it was just overwhelming for me. And it was just a project that I just thought, you know what, I'll come back to another time. And then finally in September this year, I thought now is the time to pick this up again. Yeah, and I absolutely loved it this time. I'd had a lot more experience, and I just found it to be really, really fun. I think the thing that I love about this pattern is that it changes so often. So you won't be doing the same knitting stitch repeat for too long before it then gets changed up again. Also, there are 5 different yarns that you're using, and the pattern uses different combinations of them at different times. So the interest is kept there as well. I did this year's Mystery Knit Along, the Geo Gradient, or at least I started it, but I became bored with it and I wasn't finding myself loving the pattern. And I think part of that reason was because it was a very, very repetitive pattern. Basically, every clue, there was really only one technique that was just repeated and repeated over and over and over again. And also just one kind of combination of colors. You were always just doing them in the same order. And I just got so sick of it. So I returned to the Shawlography and loved it. So I finished it in December and I'm extremely proud of it, and I will share with you. So when I put it away in January of 2022, I had just gone up to about what you can see there on the screen. And then since September, I added all of this. So it was a very big project, but as I said, really, really enjoyable. The colors that I used were 2 sorts of purples, 2 greens, and then this variegated yarn that had a whole lot of different colors in it. Yeah, and as I said, you get a whole lot of different combinations of those yarns throughout. There is a section of brioche knitting, and I've never tried that before, but from what I hear, it's tricky. I might love it if I tried it, but I didn't try it for this one. So yeah, I'm one of the people that did the non-brioche option. If you look at the hashtag Shawlography on Instagram, most people have done the brioche. And I love the look of it actually, but I just wanted to get mine finished and I went with what I felt more confident doing. And then these stripes that went all the way around did take a very long time, but yeah, I love the effect of those as well. If I had to say one thing that I don't like about the actual wearing of the shawl, it's interesting because my mum, as I said, she's done a couple of the knit-alongs before, but she doesn't actually wear shawls. So she has actually given me a couple of the shawls that she's made in the last few years, and I wear them all the time. It's something I'll always have with me at work. If I get cold, I've just got a shawl to throw on. But this one, I'd be interested to know if this was just the way I knitted it or if this is something other people have found. But I find the way you wear it around your shoulders, the exact where you would want the stretch around your shoulders, there is no stretch because of the particular stitch in here. So here there is stretch, and down here there's stretch. But in this section here, just above these baubles, which is basically where I would want to stretch it around my shoulders, if you look at the back, there are a whole lot of, I don't even remember what the kind of stitch was, but basically all these yarns, all these long pieces of the yarn that you can see on the back, they mean that the section has absolutely no give, and I wouldn't want to, you know, break any of it. So when I wear it, when I wear the other ones that my mum's given me, I'd wear it like this, and then I would pull. But if I start to pull, I can feel resistance, and that's not what I want. So I can't really wear it in the same way that I would want to wear it. So I feel like I have to lift the whole thing up and wear it in another way. So, which I think kind of looks cool anyway, but yeah, it just takes that full shawl option away, I think. I haven't seen anyone talk about that at all. Maybe it was just the way I knitted it, but yeah, it was something interesting, I thought. But yes, I have to say I am extremely proud of myself for persisting with this one and how much hard work it was. There are mistakes in there, but in such a massive project, you would never notice them. So I had to sort of give myself a little bit of grace and try not to worry when I made little mistakes in this project. But I hope you like it, because I love it. I had a couple of people on Instagram say, wow, that looks overwhelmingly difficult. But honestly, if you've got a little bit of knitting experience and you do follow along with the video instructions, they are so helpful, and it's a really exciting feeling to be doing something that's so interesting and different to what most people would have. So if you give it a go, I'm sure you will have a wonderful feeling of accomplishment like I do. So that is everything I made in November and December. Thanks so much if you have stuck around to the end of this video. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you have a favorite in the comments below, as I love having a chat with you. And I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.